by instrument. I'll go through all of my friends that I play music with, and hopefully you can learn a little something fun about me along the way. Hi, I'm Stephanie Croff, and I created STARLA, and I want you to get to know me on bass. Honestly, how big it is. Um, it's huge. Like, here it is. It's, I don't know if you can see, it's almost as tall as I am when I'm seated. Like, this is a very, very big instrument. And it used to be intimidating because it was so big, but now it's inspiring because it's just representative of how much possibility it has. So, yeah, its scale, I can clarify, its scale is really inspiring to me. That's really, really a great question because I've been in a bunch of bands, I've had a bunch of bass players. Um, Never once did I think, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a bass player. Oh, like, you know what I mean? Um, I just didn't feel that pull. And it wasn't until moving up to Seattle and one day my boyfriend was at work, and so it was just me. And I'd cleaned the house, and I was just feeling really good. And oh, that's what I had done. That's what I had done. So I got a bunch of guitar hooks, like the hangers so you can hang them on the wall. And that was the surprise treat that I did for us, but for my boyfriend that day was I hung those up and I installed them, and they looked really good, and I was just feeling really proud of myself. And so I hung up his bass, and I was like, you know, this thing's pretty great. And so I was like, well, he's not here. I'm sure he wouldn't mind if I played it. So, I literally just sat down right there and started playing the bass. And it just felt really good. It felt really comfortable. I felt really at ease about it. It felt good under my fingers. And yeah, it was just like the perfect introduction. Um, Super duper chill, just really, really rewarding. I loved it. I really loved it. Honestly, I think every time I pick it up, I think every time I pick up the bass, I feel like, wow, look at you. I mean, you're huge. um, so there's like that recognition, first of all. And then it's the, what do we want to do? And, you know, it always shows up. It always has something to say. And I always feel like I have a friend in the bass. And it's just really, really happy to play along. Oh, that's going to be sick. Let's do it again. Yeah, there's just this vibe about it that's just like, sure, yeah, okay, yeah, let's go. Uh huh. Yep. And yeah, I guess I relive that like literally every time I play it. Usually, the song form's already pretty well established by the time I've got the bass coming in. And usually a pretty strong piano, pretty strong guitar. The drums may or may not be in yet. Um, and so when I pick up the bass, I'm more like asking myself, who really wants the most support right now? Or what part really wants to shine a little bit? Or is there like a sense of energy that still wants to come through? And is this the best vehicle for that? So that's really what I'm asking is I'm listening to the song and then asking, how can the bass help the most? And so when I put that kind of like listening cap on and then looking for the opportunities to help the most with the bass, then it's usually like, pretty soon I'm finding where the notes are, figuring out certain ways to sync up with maybe the hits that the drums are doing, or maybe there's something that the guitar is doing where it just needs a little more push under it or something like that. So that's usually how the bass part starts to like reveal itself to me is just by really listening to all those opportunities in the song that just want a little bit more support under them. I feel like um I feel like I need to do an actual proper stand up here because like first of all, playing this bass, oopsie daisies. What an okay, I mean, look at this. It's heavy. Can you even tell? Can you tell how much I have to focus to hold it up? Because whew, it's that heavy. Oh my gosh. Ugh. So anyhow, that inspires me. Finding my balance inspires me. So like, you know, getting it to sit. See in there? Look, I'm already inspired. I'm already inspired. Okay, first of all, can I just say this specific bass is just okay, yes, it's heavy. We got that. But these cutouts fit my leg contours beautifully. Like, it absolutely feels so at home over my leg. Like, it just feels so comfortable and perfectly balanced, mind you. That's really important. So balanced so that my right hand, or wait, my left hand can just like freely travel up the neck, as it will. And I don't feel responsible for helping hold it up because it's so well balanced. So just the actual, this is really a heavy instrument. Just the actual construction of it inspires me once I get it situated. Um, Wait, that could be a little bit better. There we go. Oh, okay, but then there's another thing that is really inspiring. These are flat wound strings. And if you don't know what that is, imagine, okay, this is going to gross some people out, so I almost don't want to say it, but imagine the feeling of a snake skin, really, really smooth. So, okay, if you tuned that part out, um, flat wound strings feel like, because there's a little bit of grit, right? So that's why I said snake at first, because, there is an interruption in the texture. So it's very, very, very smooth. It's not like glass. It's not like glass at all. It's more like um I will end up realizing what other common everyday object has a very similar texture to this. Some kind of wrapped cable, I imagine. But gosh, it's so smooth, you guys. It's smooth. It's smoother than jewelry. It's smoother than necklaces. It's like I said, it's not fully glossy because there's a texture to it. See, can you hear that? There's a grit, but it's so smooth. So it just feels so good under my fingers. It feels so good. And it's also quieter, which I really like. It doesn't get all that finger grit feeling. And the sound of that sometimes just isn't attractive to me. Like sometimes it straight up hurts my ears. So I really like that it's flat wound and smooth, and I get just really, really smooth finger interactions. It sounds nice in my ears a lot. It's pretty much exactly like how I record my guitar, except a lot simpler because I've already decided there's really only like 3 bass sounds that I really, really love to record with. Um, because when I'm looking for bass tone for Starla, um, at least up until this point, I really wanted to sound present and woofy with a really, really mellow attack. So that eliminates a whole bunch of possibilities when I end up going through my plugin choices. So that's why I say it's a lot simpler than guitar because I'm not looking for some kind of new defining tone that the bass needs to represent. I'm really just looking for the best tonal support that can punctuate the rhythm in ways that sound and feel interesting and fun to me. So it's super simple, just classic. You plug the cable in, you plug the other end in the interface, route it to your DAW, pull up your plugin with, I like to use guitar rig, and then I choose my favorite bass cab setup. And then I just literally start playing and recording as soon as I can hear it. And depending on the song and how it evolves, I sometimes will totally re-record the bass part. Like sometimes I will have like developed a song and then be like, wait a minute, it could be way cooler here. And then I'll totally re-record the bass. So I really like how flexible it is and adaptable it is. And yeah, it's kind of like Play-Doh. It can really just like mold into whatever shape you really want it to, depending on what the song needs. I like that. Well, you might like knowing that the first song I learned how to play on the bass is also the first song that I wrote on the bass. And it was that day after hanging up all of the instruments with the new little hooks and sitting there just feeling so pleased and then getting to know that bass and just playing it. And it was so great because the cutest song came out, like the cutest, like words and everything. And I'd sing it for you here, but I'm probably going to produce it someday. So I'm not going to spoil that surprise. It'll be really fun. Um, but yeah, I just was like so thrilled that a song came out so fast and it was just so fun to play along to. And um, yeah, yeah. So that was the first song that I learned, which was also the first song that I wrote. So I actually really, 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 really loved playing when I was writing and then recording, but then still just playing it for fun. The song Fun Tonight from my EP Fun Tonight, because the bass on that song is so fun and super buoyant and really, really joyful and like and I was like, oh my God, it's just so cool and fun. And it just makes my heart so happy. Like, you know, it just makes me want to go like this and like groove and just feels really good inside. So I love to play that song. I like it a lot. Oh, well, obviously. Okay. So my very first exposure to bass as an instrument grouping was in a symphony setting. So when I was watching and listening to symphonies play, and then seeing these giant instruments on stage that dwarfed the people who were playing them, I and then how they felt like when their section came up in the music and it was their time to shine, and it just moved me. So I think for sure, top iconic bass sound for me is the sound of a bowed stand up bass, like a classical bass. It is so huge, so woody. You can pluck it, you can bow it. It just sings and growls depending on whoever's technique is just owning that instrument. Ugh, it's so good. I love it. I really, really love it. Um, I think I think another one that for me is iconic. So this is going back to my snowboarding days when I was a competitive snowboarder. Well, no, before then. This is when I was literally just learning how to be a solid writer. So this was like maybe first or second full season where I was like, I want to own this thing. I want to be really good and I'm going to be precise and I want to figure that out. And so I was listening to music all the time on the hill, like just writing by myself, just like it was like training, you know what I mean? Where the whole purpose was repetition. And so the music I was listening to at that time to help me get repetitive with my physical form on the snowboard, um, I was listening to Tool like all the time. And the album Enema, I know I really should know how to pronounce it if it's anything different than that, but whatever. Um, Enema. So that album, but specifically that song, the bass tone is so gnarly and like so intense and so gritty, but also like unrelenting. And that was so great for me at that time because, you know, like I was really, um, if you've ever gone snowboarding before or, you know, you watch it. So carving is when, you know, people turn from side to side. But since you're facing sideways going down the hill, when you're very first learning, it can feel way more comfortable to transition from, you know, toe to heel than say heel to toe. At least for me, those two edge transitions felt way different emotionally in terms of, you know, that pre build up. Oh, yeah, I got this versus, oh my God, am I gonna get this? Because if you don't get it, you fall so hard and it hurts really bad. And it's not fun. It is not fun at all to learn that way. So I didn't want to feel that fear anymore. And I noticed that the more I hesitated to make my heel to toe transition, the more the fear would build up. Like the longer I waited, the more afraid I became. And then you also end up running out of available hill because the trees are on that other side. So you better turn quickly. So it was like, it was like emotional pressure, the sense of like timeline urgency. Otherwise, you're going to hit a tree type of pressure. So when I was very first learning how to ride, that specific physical change, I was like, I need help. I need some sort of like intervention. And it was so great because with all of my piano playing experience and practice, the metronome is such a blessing because you really, really like having that clear and steady rhythm really gives you something to think about, something to form around. You know what I mean? Like it totally helps loosen up any type of critical thinking when there's a metronome and helps you lock into the beat. And so I think I made that connection somehow. I just intuitively decided, oh, okay, yeah, I'll listen to music and music specifically that has a really, really obvious and clear sense of rhythm. So that's why Tool just felt like a no-brainer to me. And so that bass tone really became part of my learning DNA on how to ride and how to be precise and how to be locked in with my body and how to be a badass and how to own my strength and own my agility and own my precision. And so it's funny because like, I don't listen to them so often these days because I'm in Starla world, but like, oh, I was listening to that song the other day and it's just like so intense and so gritty and so good. And like that tone is just undeniable. It's fucking sick. It's so good. I love it. I feel like there's one more in that same kind of category where like the bass tone is like gnarly as where like it's like it's chopping off heads, you know what I mean? It's just like rawr! So Rage Against the Machine is so good. Their bass tone is so good. It's actually insanely inspiring for me. And yeah. Yeah. It would be amazing. It would be amazing to have any sort of justification for tone like that with Starla. Like it is sick. It's so sick. So that tone, Bulls on Parade, that song specifically is just like mind-blowingly amazing bass tone. Oh. Oh, and then this one's kind of well, it's no, I just want to stick with my favorites. I just want to stick with my favorites. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's like the expected bass tone. I feel like there's pressure to have favorites that everyone else has as favorites, but I just I like what I like. I like what I like, which means there's some stuff that just isn't really for me. So, yeah. Oh, but you know what is for me? And actually, I like it a lot. Metallica. I really, really like Enter Sandman. I really like Enter Sandman's bass, and I think that that's iconic for me because like literally playing the same note over and 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 over is like another form of relentlessness that in that song, because the guitars have so much like high-pitched presence to them and they're like really bitey, that like that's clearly not what it sounds like, but I'm not trying to like, you know, do any kind of recognizable song sounds, but that like really repetitive, like thuddy, thuddy, thuddy type of bass tone is so fabulous because it really supports and grounds the guitars. It really, really supports the rhythm. It helps the entire feeling of the song just like keep driving. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's like that's that relentless aspect that is just so great. So yeah, I think that kind of like there's no bite in that bass tone. It's just very full sounding. It's very present, but it's not at all aggressive to me. It doesn't sound aggressive. I really like that a lot. I think that's such a helpful tone. I think that's iconic for sure. Hmm. Okay. Your male best friend. But not in like that weird way, not in the part where like the bass is upset about it. You know what I mean? Like I think the bass is like the male best friend who loves that role and they're totally good with it. And they're like, anytime I got your back, I'll change the water heater. I'll cut down a tree. I'll plant flowers. I'll make a cake. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll change the wiring in that outlet. No big deal. Like any scope of, oh, this is too hard. Can you help me? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Or like, oh, can we just talk? It's like the bass is so good at being so strong and stable sonically. And it's also so good at being like really caring and nurturing too, where like it can sound really like spiritual and um like bird-like, it can sound like a bird sometimes. And it can also sound like a warm hug, but then it can sound like a super bold and like totally empowered person who's just like only gonna do what feels right for them, like, you know, everything else be damned kind of a thing. And like that absolute, like ferocious confidence is just so cool. And so that's why I think it has to be a best friend, and of course, for me, a male best friend because it's a lower register than I am, so, you know, not to apply gender to instruments, but yeah, I do kinda like thinking of my bass as my male best friend. No, literally, literally never. Um, like, it was way too intimidating. It was way too big. Like, I didn't even know how to hold a bass or, like, a stand-up bass, like, how to even position myself physically near one of those, how to I mean, I've got great fingers, these are amazing, but I people who play stand-up bass have gnarly hands, like, huge, strong hands like an ox, where, you know, they could probably squeeze a pineapple and then make pineapple juice from it with their hands. And that's not me. Like, I can peel a banana with my hands. I can thread a needle. I am really good with a hammer, but this squeezing mechanism, like this whole claw thing, like for a bass, just felt like way too daunting for me. And so, yeah, that is something that I guess I just assumed because the people that I knew who played bass, they were already bigger than me. They were already stronger than me. I was like, oh, well, clearly that one's not for me. Like, I'll just choose the instruments that I can like physically wrap myself around and or hold really delicately, like my clarinet, for example. Um, that was so great because, it's right here. Don't have to go anywhere. Yeah. Yeah. No, I never did. It just never occurred to me to even pick it up. Guitar, yes, absolutely. Piano, yes, absolutely. Singing, yeah, throw me in there. 100%. I'll harmonize with literally everything. Airplanes, I'll harmonize with them. Um, yeah. That's what was so kind of crazy about that day was it's not like I didn't play bass due to lack of exposure. Um, but I think just kind of like being in the right mood. I think being in the right mood to want to play the bass is what made it seem welcoming for me. And so, I was so proud of myself for having cleaned and hanging everything up, and it just looked so nice and it was so functionally beneficial. And, so just interacting with it that way to like set it down so I could do my things and then, okay, I was ready. And so then let's put it back. And so I think those interactions, those might have been like some of my first, like, well, this isn't as big as I thought it was, or like, this actually does feel really comfortable to hold. Um, I think that's kind of what might have started piquing my curiosity a little bit that day. And so then, there was a bench right there, like literally right next to these instruments. So I just was like, huh, what would that be like? So I just like softly gave myself permission to keep saying yes to those tiny curiosities. And then, how does it feel when I set it on my lap? Interesting. That's pretty comfortable. And this was a jazz bass. This was like a really beautiful, kind of deep cherry red um, jazz bass guitar that I was playing that day. And it just sounded really nice. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. So, yeah, then when I started making music as Starla and actually getting serious about it, um, that's when I started to feel bad because I kept realizing I was asking my boyfriend if I could borrow his instrument. And that's always a signal to me where it's like, okay, if you don't know if you want a new tool or not, then yeah, go ahead and borrow it. But if you find that you're borrowing that tool a lot, you probably should get your own tool. And so that's kind of like what was hitting home for me about that was like, if I keep asking to borrow this, it probably means that I should get my own. Like, let's just face the facts here and realize I'm going to need to get a bass. so so yeah, so then I just let myself kind of like absorb into that for a minute and but then it was so great because I realized I had a guitar that I wasn't even really playing. It was too heavy for me. Like it was really physically heavy. And so I was like, well, I could trade this guitar in or sell it, and then that could help me. So I just needed to like kind of talk myself into justifying buying a whole brand new instrument, especially since I didn't even have that rich of a history with the instrument. So thankfully, that was an easy thing to talk myself into. And so yeah, I got this beautiful thing here in Seattle at a gorgeous music store. Um, and it was like one of those things where, I'm not afraid to be honest, where I'm like, look, I'm not a bass player. I don't have a history of being able to put notes all over the neck, but I want to become a better bass player than I currently am. So could you please play this bass and then roll through all the tones that I can see myself wanting to experience? And so this person was such a gem, and they sat down with me and, they plug in and they just started ripping on it. And I was like, holy shit, this sounds good. And I was like, okay, well, I can guarantee I'm never going to play like that, but can you play something more like this? And can you do sounds like this? And how does it sound if it does this? And how can it handle being played this way? And then, can you tell me about the intonation? What are you experiencing about this specific neck? How, is this specific instrument um, holding up to your expectations? Because I really do trust experienced players. I've met enough of them to know that their lived experience is so valuable. And it's also amazing when you can kind of satisfy your own sonic fantasies through their skill set and ask them to play things just because you want to hear that sound. And so I love when I get that opportunity with people, and I definitely take advantage of that. And it's just so fun for me because, I mean, music and instruments sound so cool. So anyhow, that's how I got to know this bass, and made it an absolute clear and easy yes. Yes. Yes, absolutely. I'll buy it right now. I'll take it home. This is my new male best friend, and we are going to get to know each other. So yeah, that's how this bass came into my life. And I'm really, really happy about it because I've just been thrilled, absolutely thrilled with our budding relationship. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of really lost my listening to Rage Against the Machine the other day. I was like, this bass tone is literally the best. Like, it's literally the best. And so, what I think would be the coolest thing ever is to have justification for that kind of bass tone in my music. Like, it would be so fucking dope to be able to play tones like that and hear that in my ears with like, what kind of song is that going to require? Um, like, what is it going to sound like when I sing with that? Like, how are we going to all be friends in the same room together? So, but I legitimately am thrilled about that bass tone, and I feel like I want to marry it for a minute. Um, but for real, like I wanna understand it. I wanna understand it in my body. I wanna understand it in my fingers. And I want to just like kind of fully dive into that type of pool. So that's that's genuinely um kind of what's like lighting me up right now about bass is like I feel like a dog on a bone about that bass tone, and I want to play it. and I want to feel it. And I want to feel that, yes, dude, yes. You know what I mean? Like that super duper clear, decisive, only thing in the world type of mindset that tone really embodies. Gosh, who doesn't love feeling that clear-minded? Oh my God, it's a powerful feeling. So I think that'll be a really cool thing. That'll be a really cool thing. And then it'll be really, really cool to hear how that shows up in Starla. I think that'll be very, very interesting. So I'm here for it. Thank you so much for being here. Um, I just really, really enjoy these times together where I can share not only just like memories and stories about these instruments that mean so much to me, but hopefully I can, I don't know, pass a light a little bit. Like, I just love music so much, and it's so diversely satisfying. And we live in such a good world with so many musical choices, all of which are absolutely appropriate. And to give yourself permission to play in whichever pool you want to play in until you decide you want to jump in another pool. For me personally, that type of decision making around instrumentation or tones or things like that, it literally is the most satisfying way to go about being alive that I have found to date. And so, my hope in sharing these getting to know you series with Starla on my instruments is really just that I just hopefully can be an example of somebody that might be inspiring to you a little bit, or somebody that you know a little bit, to try a new instrument that you never thought you would try before, or try a new tone that you never thought you would try before, or, stuff like that. Just like have fun because it's fun, or like, touch the strings because they just feel so good. It's just so nice. Anyhow, I'll get off my high horse, I guess. I love you guys. My name is Stephanie. I am the creator of Starla, and this has been Getting to Know Me on Bass. Thank you.